Hello, I want to welcome you to the first program of Our Revolution Helena. My name is Frank Kromkowski. I'm the host for our first program with a couple of guests who are going to be discussing with me some very important, crucial issues of our time. Our Revolution Helena is a group that was inspired by Senator Bernie Sanders, and we have been meeting every 2 weeks since the first couple of weeks of 2015. Probably not 1915, but about 2015. But our guests are representing two groups that have been very, very active on the issue of gun violence in our society. And our guests are Caroline Southworth from Capitol High School, representing the group that organized the March 24th rally, March for Our Lives, and the March 14th walkout. And she represents the group that was founded called Helena Youth Against Gun Violence. And our other guest is Colleen Grass, who is a representative of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And she represents the Helena chapter, which has been meeting regularly as well. And so I want to thank both of them for coming to share their views and their thoughts. And I'd like first to ask Caroline if she would tell us a little bit about herself and about the organization that she's part of.
So I'm from Capitol High. I'm a sophomore. I know the founders, Mariah and Claire. I go to school with them. Claire's in my math class. It's pretty nice to see them every day. But like our just whole mission, our whole purpose is to create safety and a sense of safety in schools specifically, because especially after the Parkland shooting, we were very unsure of our safety in our school, and there were moments when kids would be in the hallways or walking up the staircases, am I safe kind of thing, and there's always that anxiety of what's it gonna be, what's gonna happen to me, am I gonna come home today? And it's meant to promote safety not only in schools but in public places, and knowledge and expertise in guns and what you can do with a gun, and education on guns and how they work is our main message.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Colleen, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense?
Mm-hmm. I've been active in Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America since the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. We've just celebrated, or I should not say celebrate because that's a wrong word for the occasion, but it's been 5 years since Moms Demand Action has been active, organized right after the Sandy Hook school shooting. And in Helena here, we organized, the Missoula chapter helped us organize in about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. Moms Demand Action works for common sense gun legislation. We don't push for banning weapons or for taking away weapons, as many people believe. Simply common sense legislation that makes school students, for one thing, and everyone else safer.
Okay, well, thank you. Caroline, I know that Helena Youth Against Gun Violence organized the March 14th rally, our walkout from school, and there were also walkouts at other schools, and I attended the one at Capitol High. I gather there were about 300 students there, and there were about 1,000 at the March for Our Lives, or more than 1,000 probably at the Memorial Park last Saturday. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the issues and about what you're hoping to do now as a group in Helena working on the issues that you care about?
Well, as a group, we really want to unite students, and that may be whatever political party you support or stand for. We really want to unite students and educate on guns and push for common sense gun legislation, because we think that it's extremely important for young people to be behind the movement and show that we are capable of and we are willing to show what we want and have a voice in our government today.
Mm-hmm. Are there particular pieces of legislation that you would call common sense gun legislation that your group is supporting, or are you working in a different way?
We are trying to stay as nonpartisan as possible, but there are some things that we would like to see put into legislation. The removal of the gun show loophole, we think that is probably not the best thing to have in our state and in our country. It's very unsafe. We're also, the spending budget for the CDC, which would allow them to research gun violence, is being thought about in the House and Congress. So we really would like to see those changes and kind of just treat gun violence as a public health issue, because it does endanger our safety and it is extremely important.
And Colleen, what kind of things is Moms Demand Action doing and maybe pushing for in terms of specific legislation or activities that people could get involved in to work on the issues?
Yeah. First, I want to say how much I admire Caroline and the whole student group, and nationally all of the students who have come together to really take on this issue that was forced upon them because they are not safe at school. Moms Demand Action and its umbrella organization, Every Town for Gun Safety, which has a huge coalition of well over 3 million members and growing every day, has been working to close the gun show loophole, just as you said, to close the boyfriend loophole, which is a loophole which would allow domestic abusers to be able to possess a gun legally simply because they are not married to the person that they live with. And so to close that loophole. Also an extremely dangerous piece of legislation that we've been fighting hard this year and for about the whole past year too, is called concealed carry reciprocity. And this would impose the weakest standards in the nation, virtually no standards whatsoever, to allow people to carry their guns across state lines legally, even though state laws would say they were in violation by carrying their concealed weapons into certain states. If this law passes, they'll be able to take them anywhere, even though there are people who probably should not have guns. Mm-hmm. Those would be 3 main pieces that we're working on right now.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the Helena Youth Against Gun Violence, what is the, let's say, the biggest priority for making some change that you're really pushing for your first an important issue?
Well, I think we don't really have one specific important issue that we're pushing for right now, because we are a student-led group. We're trying to get as many members and push that we are nonpartisan, and we do encourage people of all political backgrounds to come. But we really want to get some conversation going with our local representatives and our elected officials. We think that's extremely important, and because we are teenagers, we would like to be more knowledgeable about the legal parts of gun legislation and all that. So we really just want to get, our next project is the town hall project, so we're trying to get talking with our elected officials. We've met with Representative from Steve Daines and some other people. We met with the mayor for a little bit, and we met with the governor. We're just trying to get talking and see what we can do on a local level first, and then see if we can expand statewide.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. I wanted to mention that our Revolution Helena also has a legislative agenda that we set up in March of 2015. And on that agenda, of course, our basic idea is to work to reclaim our democracy so that our representatives, in fact, are representing the people and are working on issues that really we care about, such as the tremendous wealth inequality in the United States, the fact that school funding is so poorly funded, or schools are so poorly funded, to have housing for all, for justice for all. But one of our legislative priorities is to promote women's and children's health and safety. And so as you work, both moms and the Helena Youth, on your issues, we hope that we can support you in doing research for those issues and of contacting our representatives, Senator Daines, Senator Tester, and Representative Gianforte, so that they will be responsive. Because we know that in many cases over the past year, when we've attempted to reach out to at least some of our representatives, they have given us back answers that no one could be happy with in terms of the specificity. Mm-hmm. They say, well, thank you for sending a letter, see you later, kind of thing. And I imagine that that's unacceptable to us who really care about gun violence. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So does moms have meetings that are open to everyone to
Yes, come? We do. Our meetings are on the third Tuesday of the month, 5:45 p.m. at St. Paul's United Methodist Church. I believe the address is on Logan Street. And sometimes it's in the fellowship hall, sometimes it's in the administration building. But yes, our meetings are open to the public. We encourage people, and we are looking for new leadership in the group. I'll be moving within the year. But there are many open positions and a lot of opportunities for involvement if people would really like to get into this. Yeah, we are also concerned about, especially women suffer a lot of the brunt of gun violence in the United States, and children. Gun violence is the third leading cause of death among children, 17 years old and younger. Part of that would be suicide, of course, which Helena has experienced more than its share of, for sure.
Yes. As I was preparing to meet with you, I came across an article that indicated that already, although we're only 12 weeks into the year 2018, there have already been 17 school shootings, and there are hundreds of shootings all the time, and that averages out to 1.5 school shootings a week. And so, even though some of the mass shootings are the ones that gain most attention, there are shootings all the time. And one a week is way too many, of course. And I noticed that the March 24th March for Our Lives rally, that many students talked about the trauma they went through and the fears they had. I wonder if you could discuss some of those things about how students really feel about what has happened and about what they need to do to overcome those fears.
Well, I think in a high school there is kind of a varied response to reactions from school shootings and mass shootings just in general. And I think at least in our group, I noticed a lot of the majority of the responses, and from conversations I've had with students and my fellow classmates, is that there's kind of that fear of the unknown of, if I'm coming to school, am I gonna make it home? Is it safe? What would I do right now if I'm walking in the hallway and there's a school shooter? Would I run into the classroom? Like, what would I do? And there's the fact that in schools, we kind of treat active shooter drills as kind of, oh, an active shooter's gonna come in and shoot at us, whatever. But it really is a serious issue. And what I've noticed is that our plan as students and as teachers in an active shooter drill isn't as well thought out or planned as I would like it to be. It's very kind of non-specific. We kind of lock the door, stay down, be quiet, turn the lights off. And if an active shooter is really coming, like, will that save us? Is that really thought out? Is that instituted across our schools? Is that the same plan? Kind of, are our teachers trained? Because I know some teachers do receive special training. They do go to active shooter drills and courses, but not all of them do. And there's varied reactions to what we should do about that. You see the notion of arming teachers, and our group advocates against that pretty strongly. We don't think that's the best solution. We think there are many other steps we could take before putting guns into school, but it's just fear of the unknown and the responsibility as students for advocating for our own safety and having to step up and deal with that, I think, is our main reaction. Is we want to be safe, so I'm going to talk to you, we're going to talk to you, we're going to do something about this as an issue, as a group.
I can just say for myself, as a grandfather and great-grandfather of 7 grandchildren, that I feel close to those issues, very deeply close to those issues, and can assure you that within my circle of friends and within our Revolution Helena, we want to link up with you and help you deal with those issues. We just have a little bit of time left, but I'd like each of you to just say if there would be one more thing that you want to add to say to the listeners of Helena Civic TV about this issue, to take a few seconds to say that.
I think the most important thing that people can do is to be involved, to speak up, to raise their voices. Too many people just assume that when our representatives go off to Washington, they'll just take care of things for us. They need to hear from us. We need to tell them how important this issue is and that it's not acceptable that our children live in fear when they go to school.
And Caroline?
I think that as a group, as a nation, with our history, we should be pushing for things that make sense for everyone and doesn't make it harder to live in the United States. And that may be some common sense gun legislation, and sometimes we give up some things, but it's important that safety is our priority, and as a nation, we should unite behind the want to be safe and to live freely and just enjoy life and be happy, I guess. I just want to be happy. I want everyone to be happy. I don't want it to be one political group versus another political group over something we can compromise on and we can make it safer for both. It should be a united nation standing behind kind of one front of what we want to do and how we want to live.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your comments and for your involvement in the Helena Youth Against Gun Violence, and also you, Colleen, and your passion, I know, and your work within Moms Demanding Gun Sense in America. I also want to thank everyone for listening to this first Our Revolution Helena show. We'll be here very often with important issues that affect our community. We're a group that cares about the community, the least of our brethren, and the ones who are most vulnerable, and we hope to see you again. Thank you very much.